Commander Han Jaiwu pressed her face against the cold viewport as their small human ship approached the massive space station called Nexus Prime. The station was so big it looked like a metal planet floating in space. Bright lights from thousands of alien ships moved around it like fireflies. "Still getting those rude messages from Space Traffic Control," said Lieutenant Park Miho from his seat at the communications panel. His fingers moved quickly over the buttons as he tried to talk to the aliens controlling ship movement. "They want us to dock at Bay 47. Jaiwu made a bitter face. "The cargo area. Of course they do." Behind them, Dr. Kim Nari looked up from her electronic tablet. She was the smartest person on their ship, always reading reports and data about alien science. "The aliens still think we're just smart animals, not real people." For thousands of years, the Galactic Confederation had controlled this part of space. They had a strange system called the stellar hierarchy that ranked different alien species. The ranking was based on something called cosmic resonance, how well each species could connect with the stars themselves. Some aliens could hear stars singing. Others could feel star energy in their bodies. A few could even talk to stars using their minds. Humans could do none of these things. At the very bottom of the hierarchy sat humanity. The aliens barely accepted that humans were smart enough to think. They called Earth a dead rock going around a boring star. Most aliens would not even trade with humans. The few who did charged very high prices for simple things. As their shuttle flew down through the station's atmosphere, Jaiwu could see the beautiful towers where the important alien species lived. The Zephyrians were made of living crystal that caught starlight and turned it into amazing rainbow patterns. They lived in tall crystal towers that sparkled like diamonds. The Luminos were beings made of pure energy that glowed with their own light. They lived in structures that pulsed and moved like giant hearts made of light. The Verdani were plant-like aliens who grew their cities from living trees. Their homes reached up toward space like green fingers trying to touch the stars. These trees were so big that some had entire neighborhoods growing in their branches. All these species lived in the beautiful, expensive parts of Nexus Prime. Humans got gray metal boxes in the industrial section, next to the garbage processors and recycling plants. "Look at that," said Captain Choi Seo-jun, pointing out the window. His mining ship had followed them to the station. "Even the cleaning robots get better parking spots than us." The human delegation was small, just 12 people trying to make better trade deals for their entire species. They had been planning this trip for 2 years, saving money and resources just to get here. Every human colony had contributed something to make this mission possible. Dr. Nari was reading reports on her tablet again. "The stellar resonance chamber has been acting strange lately. The Confederation scientists cannot explain what is happening to it." "Strange how?" asked Jaiwu as she watched alien ships that looked like floating jewels and living metal sculptures. "Weird energy readings every time humans are near it. The patterns are too regular to be random, but the Alien Council keeps saying their equipment is broken." The stellar resonance chamber was an ancient alien artifact at the center of Nexus Prime. It was supposed to measure how well different species could connect with cosmic forces. For thousands of years, it had been quiet around humans. The aliens used this as proof that humans were not really connected to the universe. 3 days after arriving, Jaiwu found herself standing in the huge council chamber. The room was so big that clouds formed near the ceiling. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in seats designed for their different body types. Some hung from the ceiling like bats. Others floated in tanks of special gas. A few were just glowing balls of light that spoke through electronic boxes. Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrians spoke in sounds like breaking glass mixed with music. The words hurt human ears. "The humans want better trade agreements. But what can they give us? They have no mind powers. They do not live for thousands of years like we do. They cannot feel the cosmic forces. Even their star does not sing for them." The translator device made Veltar's words sound even more insulting in English. Other aliens in the chamber made sounds that the humans guessed were laughter. Some sounded like bells ringing. Others were like wind blowing through metal tubes. Jaiwu stood up slowly. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her voice calm. "We offer determination, creativity, and the willingness to keep fighting when others give up." The alien laughter got louder. One alien that looked like a floating brain said something that translated as, "How amusing." "The primitives think stubbornness is a valuable trait." That night, Jaiwu could not sleep. She walked through the empty corridors of the human section, thinking about the meeting. The aliens had not said no to their requests, but they had not said yes either. They seemed to enjoy making humans wait and worry. As she walked past the ancient stellar resonance chamber, something unexpected happened. The massive machine, which was usually dark and quiet, began to make a low humming sound. Crystalline panels that had been black for centuries suddenly lit up with soft blue light. The lights moved in patterns that made Jaiwa think of heartbeats, of breathing, of life itself pushing against darkness. She stopped walking and stared at the machine. The patterns seemed to pulse faster when she got closer, like it was responding to her presence. For just a moment she felt something she had never felt before, like the universe itself was noticing her. Then the lights faded and the humming stopped. But something was definitely awakening. The emergency alarm screamed through Nexus Prime at dawn. The sound was so loud it made the metal walls shake. Jaiwa ran from her small room to the communications center where Miho was talking rapidly into his headset. "Pirate attack on Research Station Kepler 7, he said quickly when he saw her. 3 civilian ships full of families are trapped there. The pirates have them surrounded." Jaiwa looked at the big screen showing a map of nearby space. Red dots showed where the pirate ships were attacking. Blue dots showed the Confederation forces trying to help. What about the Zephyrian and Luminal fleets? They should be able to handle some pirates easily. Lieutenant Lee Yuna looked up from her computer with a worried face. "That is the problem, Commander. They are losing badly. The pirate ships are doing something impossible." "Impossible how?" "Every time our allies try to attack, the pirate ships change to defend against that exact attack. When the Zephyrians fire their crystal energy beams, the pirate shields adjust to block those specific energy frequencies. When the Luminals try their phase-shifting attacks, the pirate ships somehow modify their hulls to match. It is like the pirates can predict the future." Jaiwa stared at the screen. The blue dots were moving in circles while the red dots stayed perfectly positioned around the research station. Families were dying while the most advanced military forces in the galaxy could not figure out how to help them. She made a decision that would change everything. "Get our ships ready. We are going to help them." "Ma'am," said Miho carefully, "we only have 4 ships. 1 diplomatic cruiser, 2 old cargo haulers and Captain Choi's mining vessel. We are not equipped for fighting space pirates." "We are equipped for something better," Jaiwa said. "We are equipped for survival. These pirates have never fought humans before." The human fleet looked like junk compared to the sleek alien warships. The Rising Dawn was Jaiwa's diplomatic cruiser, built for talking, not fighting. The 2 cargo ships Iron Will and Endurance had been quickly fitted with some old missile launchers. Captain Choi's mining ship Heavy Lifter still had dirt from asteroid mines stuck to its hull. When they arrived at the battle, Jaiwa could see why the aliens were losing. The pirate ships were beautiful and deadly, changing shape and color as they adapted to every attack. They looked like living metal that could think and learn. "This is Fleet Commander Zelden of the Zephyrian 3rd Fleet," came a transmission. "Human vessels, stay back. These pirates have adaptive technology beyond your understanding." Jaiwa watched the alien ships fire their most powerful weapons. Each time the pirate ships absorbed the attack and became stronger. The pirates were not just winning, they were learning how to be better at winning. "Captain Choi," Jaiwa said into her communicator, "are you ready to do something crazy?" "Always, Commander." "What do you have in mind?" "Ram them." The Zephyrian commander's voice crackled with shock. What did she say? Did the human just order a collision attack? Captain Choi's mining ship was built to smash through asteroids. It had thick armor and powerful engines. Instead of firing weapons, he pointed his ship directly at the largest pirate vessel and pushed his engines to maximum power. The pirate ship tried to adapt, but there was nothing to adapt to. It was just a big chunk of metal flying very fast in a straight line. The 2 ships crashed together in a ball of fire and twisted metal. Captain Choi and his crew escaped in small pods just before impact. "Nuclear missiles away," announced Captain Kim Yongi from the cargo ship Endurance. He was firing old human weapons that used atomic explosions instead of energy beams. The pirate ships tried to adapt their shields, but nuclear weapons worked completely differently from alien technology. The adaptive systems had never seen anything like them before. But something else was happening during the battle. As the human crews pushed their damaged ships beyond safe limits, as they refused to retreat even when their hulls were breaking apart, the nearby star began to act strangely. Dr. Nari was monitoring the battle from the research station. Her instruments were showing impossible readings. "The star's energy output is increasing by 15%, she reported. But it is not exploding or burning out. It is burning cleaner and brighter." The star was not pulsing with its normal steady rhythm. Instead, it seemed to pulse in time with the human ships as they fought. When Captain Choi crashed his ship, the star flared brighter. When the Endurance fired its missiles while half its hull was on fire, the star pulsed like a heartbeat. "This is impossible," transmitted the Luminal Fleet commander. Stars do not respond to space battles. Across 3 different star systems, the same thing was happening. Stars were changing their behavior, pulsing in rhythm with human battle tactics. They were not responding to human technology, which was primitive compared to alien science. They were responding to something else entirely. The pirates, confused by weapons and tactics they had never encountered, finally retreated into hyperspace. Their adaptive systems had been overwhelmed by the sheer strangeness of human warfare. As rescue ships collected survivors and damaged vessels, something unprecedented happened on Nexus Prime. The ancient stellar resonance chamber began opening vault doors that had been sealed for 10,000 years. Documents and artifacts that predated the current Confederation started glowing with their own inner light. The stars themselves were trying to tell them something important. Something about humanity that even the aliens did not understand yet. Scholar Kethvar of the Verdani had lived for 300 years, spending most of that time reading ancient books in the deepest libraries of the Confederation. Her bark-like skin was normally a healthy green color, but now it had turned pale yellow with worry. The old vault doors that had been locked for 10,000 years were opening by themselves, and the documents inside were glowing with strange light. The prophecies she found made her branches shake with fear. They spoke of creatures called the Star Chosen, a species that would appear when the galaxy faced its greatest danger. These beings would not have special powers or long lives like other advanced species. Instead, they would earn the favor of the universe through something much simpler but more powerful: they would never give up. Commander Jaiwa found herself called to an emergency meeting in the biggest conference room on Nexus Prime. The room was so large it could hold representatives from every species in the Confederation. General Park Taeyong, the highest-ranking human military officer, stood beside her as holographic star maps filled the air around them. The stellar phenomena began exactly 3 days ago, announced Supreme Counselor Zarthek of the Luminals. His energy body flickered with nervous light patterns. 67 star systems are now showing synchronized pulsing. Every single case began when human ships entered combat. Dr. Nari stepped forward with her research tablet in hand. I have been studying this carefully. It is not our technology causing these changes. Our ships are very primitive compared to Confederation standards. Something else is making the stars respond to us. Scholar Kethvar's branches rustled as she shared what she had discovered in the ancient texts. The old records speak of an enemy from before the Confederation existed. They are called the Devourers. These beings consume the life force of stars themselves, leaving only cold, empty space behind them. That sounds like old stories to scare children, said Commander Veltar of the Zephyrians. His crystal body rang with dismissive tones. No, Dr. Nari said quietly, showing readings from Earth's sun on the main display. Look at these patterns. Our home star is creating complex mathematical sequences that match exactly with the prophecy Scholar Kethvar found. When humans show determination, when we refuse to surrender, stars respond by burning brighter and stronger. The main screen changed to show data from their long-range sensors. What everyone saw made the room fall completely silent. At the very edge of their galaxy, entire star systems were disappearing. One by one, ancient suns that had burned for billions of years were simply ceasing to exist. Lieutenant Colonel Kim Ji-hoon, who worked in human intelligence gathering, spoke up. Our deep space monitoring stations detected massive gravity waves 3 weeks ago. The waves were so powerful they bent space itself. Something very large is moving toward our galaxy. The Devourers, Kethvar whispered. They have found us again after all these centuries. But Jaiwa was studying the patterns from Earth's sun displayed on the screen. The prophecy says the Star Chosen earn cosmic favor through will alone. Not through advanced technology or evolution, just through the refusal to give up. Impossible, said the luminal counselor, his energy body pulsing with disbelief. The universe does not respond to emotions. Stars are giant nuclear reactors. They follow the laws of physics, not feelings. As if the cosmos itself wanted to prove him wrong, every star visible through the huge windows of the conference room pulsed once in perfect unison. The flash of light was so bright that everyone had to cover their eyes or dim their sensors. Dr. Nari looked at her instruments with amazement. Did everyone see that? Every star in visual range just synchronized. The probability of that happening naturally is essentially zero. The ancient records are very clear, Kethvar continued, her voice shaking. The Devourers feed on entropy, the natural tendency of everything to break down and die. They accelerate the death of stars, planets, and entire civilizations. The stellar hierarchy was originally created as a defense system against them. But how can the hierarchy help? Asked General Park. It just ranks species by their cosmic connection. How does that fight an enemy? Because, Jaiwu said, understanding dawning in her voice, it was never about ranking us. It was about finding the right species for the job. The species that could inspire the universe itself to fight back against entropy. On the display screen, more star systems at the galaxy's edge went dark. The Devourers were moving faster now, consuming entire solar systems in hours instead of days. Their hunger seemed to be growing stronger as they got closer to more populated areas. How long do we have? Asked the Zephyrian commander. Based on their current speed, Dr. Nari calculated quickly, they will reach the outer Confederation worlds in 2 weeks. The core worlds including Nexus Prime in 6 weeks. And Earth? Jaiwu asked. 4 weeks. Earth is actually in their direct path. The room erupted in discussions as different species began planning evacuations and defense strategies. But Jaiwu was still staring at the readings from Earth's sun. The mathematical patterns were getting more complex, like the star was trying to communicate something important. We are not just another species struggling to survive, she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. According to these prophecies, humanity is the universe's immune system. We are here to fight against entropy itself. Outside the conference room windows, the stars pulsed again in agreement, creating patterns of light that looked almost like writing across the darkness of space. The message was becoming clear. The galaxy's greatest test was coming, and humanity would either save everything or watch it all die in the cold dark between stars. The first Devourer ships appeared at the edge of the galaxy like black wounds torn in space itself. They were not built like normal spaceships. Instead, they looked like living shadows that absorbed all light around them. Admiral Song Hyun-woo of the Confederation's most powerful fleet watched in horror as his advanced warships simply stopped working when they got too close to the enemy. They are not just destroying our vessels, he reported to the Emergency Council on Nexus Prime. His voice shook with fear. They are draining the life from the stars themselves. The Rigel system went completely dark in 3 hours. The star did not explode, it just died. On Nexus Prime, panic spread through all the advanced alien species like a disease. The Zephyrians began loading their crystal ships with their most precious artifacts, preparing to flee to distant galaxies. The luminals scattered into energy clouds, trying to hide in dimensions beyond normal space. The Verdani pulled their root networks deep underground, getting ready to sleep for thousands of years until the danger passed. In the small human diplomatic section, Commander Jaiwu received a transmission that would have made her angry if the situation were not so desperate. Commander Jaiwu, came the voice of Supreme Counselor Zarthak. For the first time since she had known him, the proud luminal sounded frightened. The Confederation formally requests human assistance in this crisis. What kind of assistance? Jaiwu asked, though she already suspected what they wanted. We need your species to serve as a delaying force while the more advanced races prepare deeper defensive positions. You would buy us time to evacuate our most important populations and technologies. Lieutenant Park Miho turned red with anger. They want us to be cannon fodder. They want us to die slowly while they run away. Dr. Nari looked up from her calculations with a grim expression. The stars in the battle zones are not just getting dimmer. They are dying permanently. The Devourers use some kind of entropy field that stops nuclear fusion from working. Once a star is touched by that field, it can never burn again. Jaiwu stood before the assembled human crews in their small meeting room. There were miners from asteroid belts, cargo ship captains who hauled supplies between colonies, diplomats who had never fired a weapon, and scientists who studied peaceful things like plant growth and weather patterns. None of them were trained soldiers, but all of them had something the Confederation's advanced species had forgotten. They think we are a last resort, she told them. They are wrong. We are the only resort that matters. We are the reason the stars started singing again. Captain Choi Seo-jun raised his hand. His mining ship Ironwill had been repaired after the pirate battle, but it still looked like a floating piece of scrap metal. What is the plan, Commander? Jaiwu smiled, but there was no humor in it. We do what humans have always done. We refuse to quit even when quitting makes sense. The human fleet that launched toward the Devourer advance was a collection of civilian ships, outdated military vessels, and pure stubborn determination. Against entities that could drain the life from stars, they should have been destroyed in seconds. The first battle took place in the Kepler system, where 3 human cargo ships faced a Devourer vessel the size of a small moon. The alien ship began releasing its entropy field, and the local star immediately started to dim and cool. Captain Kim Yong-hee of the cargo hauler Endurance was the first to notice something impossible happening. The star just increased its output by 30%. It is not going nova or burning out, it is burning cleaner and brighter than before. As his ship's hull began to crack under enemy fire, Yoongi did something that made no tactical sense. Instead of retreating to a safe distance, he pushed his engines beyond their safety limits and flew directly toward the Devourer ship while broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Captain Yoongi to all human vessels. Remember what our ancestors did when they faced impossible odds. They did not run. They did not surrender. They kept fighting because giving up was not an option. His ship exploded in a ball of fire, but his escape pod kept transmitting. Keep fighting. Make them work for every inch. Across the galaxy, something began to happen that the Devourers had never encountered in millions of years of consuming civilizations. The stars started to fight back. In system after system, as human crews pushed their damaged vessels beyond all reasonable limits, as they broadcast messages of hope and defiance even while their ships were being destroyed, the dying stars began to burn with renewed energy. The entropy fields that had been stopping nuclear fusion were being overwhelmed by something the ancient enemy could not understand. Dr. Nari, monitoring from a safe distance, watched her instruments show readings that should have been impossible. The stars are not just resisting the entropy effect. They are reversing it. Wherever humans are fighting with determination, the stellar damage is healing itself. Captain Lee Minyuk of the mining vessel Hard Rock rammed his ship into a Devourer cruiser while his crew escaped in pods. As the two ships crashed together, the nearby star flared so brightly that it could be seen from 3 systems away. By the end of the first day of fighting, the Confederation observers could not believe what they were seeing. Human ships, burning and barely holding together, continued to attack while the very fabric of space rallied around them. Stars that had been dark for hours began to reignite. Dead systems came back to life. The Devourers, who had consumed countless galaxies without ever facing real resistance, found themselves fighting not just against primitive human technology, but against the will of the universe itself. The final battle came to Earth itself, humanity's small blue home world floating in the darkness of space. The massive Devourer command ship was the size of Earth's moon, its black surface absorbing all light like a hungry mouth. Commander Jaiwa's flagship Rising Dawn was a burning wreck with half her crew dead, but she still pressed forward in the attack. Around her, the last remnants of humanity's impossible fleet fought with weapons that barely worked and ships held together by spare parts and determination. The Iron Will had no weapons left, so Captain Choi used it as a battering ram. The cargo ship Endurance was leaking air from a dozen holes, but Captain Kim kept firing his ancient missiles while his crew worked in spacesuits. All ships, this is Jaiwoo, she broadcast on every radio frequency as her ship's hull began to crack under the enormous pressure of the enemy's entropy field. Remember who we are. Remember what we have always been. We are the species that looked at an infinite universe full of dangers and said, we belong here too. Her ship's engines exploded in a brilliant flash of white light, but her small escape pod continued broadcasting. The pod was barely big enough for one person and had no weapons at all. We are the ones who dreamed of touching the stars when we were still afraid of lightning and fire. We are the ones who kept exploring when everyone said it was too dangerous. We are the ones who kept fighting when all the smart people said we should give up. We are not going to stop now. Across Earth, in every city and small town and remote outpost, 8 billion human voices heard her message. They could see the battle happening above their planet through telescopes and video screens. They watched their tiny ships fighting against something so large and dark it blocked out parts of the sky. But instead of panicking or hiding, they did something that amazed even themselves. From New York to Tokyo, from small farming villages to research stations in Antarctica, humans began broadcasting their own messages of support and defiance. Not prayers asking for help, but statements of absolute refusal to surrender. This is Chin Wei from Beijing. We are still here and we are not afraid. This is Maria Santos from Mexico City. Earth does not belong to the darkness. This is Ahmed Hassan from Cairo. Humanity chooses hope. And the stars answered. Every star in the Milky Way galaxy began to pulse in perfect rhythm, creating a heartbeat of light that could be felt across thousands of light years. The pulsing was so powerful it created waves in space itself. Ships from distant civilizations detected the phenomenon and wondered what could cause such an impossible thing. The light did not just push back against the Devourer's entropy field. It completely transformed it. The ancient hunger that had consumed countless worlds and civilizations was suddenly flooded with the very thing it had been trying to destroy. The will to create, to build, to hope for better things. The Devourers did not die. Instead, something miraculous happened. Their ships began to change, transforming from instruments of destruction into something entirely new. The dark hulls became bright, and the entropy fields that had killed stars became creative forces that helped new stars be born. The ancient enemy's hunger became part of the natural cycle of death and rebirth that kept the universe alive and growing. As rescue ships found Jaiwa's damaged pod floating near Earth's moon, every person on every world in the Confederation witnessed something that had never happened before in the history of the galaxy. The stars themselves began to move. Slowly, over the course of several hours, the brightest stars visible from Nexus Prime rearranged themselves into new patterns. The patterns spelled out one word in dozens of ancient alien languages, visible from every inhabited world in the galaxy: humanity. Dr. Nari, her scientific instruments barely able to process what she was seeing, made the announcement that would change everything about how the galaxy understood itself. The stellar hierarchy is not just recognizing humanity as a valid species. It is placing us at the very center of cosmic importance. When the various alien species offered tribute, territory, and complete submission to human authority, Jaiwa gave them an answer that was perfectly human. She was sitting in a hospital bed on Nexus Prime, covered in bandages but with her spirit completely unbroken. "We did not fight to become your rulers," she said to the assembled representatives of 1,000 different worlds. "We fought because it was the right thing to do. We are all part of this galaxy together. The stars did not crown us to make us kings and queens. They crowned us to remind everyone what we are all capable of when we refuse to give up on each other." 6 months later, human ships bearing the blessing of the stars themselves began launching toward distant galaxies where new threats might be lurking in the cold void between worlds. They did not go as conquerors seeking to build an empire. They went as gardeners of hope, carrying the simple message that had saved their own galaxy. Even in the darkest night, when everything seems lost and hopeless, somewhere in the universe someone is still fighting for what is good and right. And as long as that is true, the stars will never stop singing their song of light against the darkness. The universe had learned something important from humanity, that the greatest power in existence is not technology or magic or even the ability to destroy stars. The greatest power is the simple refusal to surrender, the determination to keep trying even when success seems impossible. That power belongs to every thinking being in the cosmos. Humans had simply been brave enough to use it first.